Welcome back, leaders, Fam Bam, wonderful online community out there. This was a great request from one of our long-term followers who wanted to know what to do about overthinking. And when I first got this topic request, I was like, oh, this is perfect because I'm so good at overthinking. But at the same time, it is really important to know when overthinking serves you and when it doesn't. And I will say, for the most part, overthinking comes when we're fearful, when we're worried, when we're concerned, or when we are confused. So feeding those type of energies are typically not very value adding, and they're very energy and time depleting. Other times overthinking is really good is trying to solve a problem. Philosophical thoughts, creations, debates, those sort of things are fun, but they feel energizing and inspiring. And if you're doing it with another person, then it feels really connecting and awe-invoking. And so those are really refreshing, but I would say probably rare in my circumstance. I tend to overthink when I am confused or when I'm concerned. And most of the time, my personal overthinking is developed in trying to rationalize something that is irrational. It's trying to find understanding. It's trying to think of something that makes more sense. But in a way, it drives this sort of madness because some things in life just don't make sense. Sometimes other people are not rational, and they're not going to be rational no matter how hard you try or how much you overthink a different approach or solution. And sometimes life is just gonna deliver things that just plain suck and that are just hard and sometimes unfair and challenging. Overthinking it is not going to fix it, change it, change the way you feel about it, change the way another person behaves, change the past. In fact, it'll probably create a more worrisome future. Really, in these circumstances, overthinking is just a waste. It's an absolute, complete, utter waste of time and energy. And it is a trap and something that is really kind of addictive in the process. I mean, I will say that for myself. Overthinking can be addictive because it feels productive. It feels like you're trying to solve something, but really what we need to do is not try to solve what is unsolvable, but absolve to being accepting of that fact. The main foundation that I want to share with you in helping with avoiding or letting go of the overthinking is a 3-step process. The first step is to focus on your goal, or to have a focus in general. So something like overthinking somebody in business who slighted you or maybe overcharged you or had a different perspective and was just really rude and unprofessional about it. Maybe something like that might infuriate you or make you think, what the heck, why? Or like, how could I have done it different? Or how could I have avoided the situation? Or like, am I in the wrong or is she in the right? Like you might think of these things, but really my focus is to reduce the amount of time and energy and resources that are spent on business. So in this case, trying to work with that person costed me more of my time and energy. And when I spent half a day trying to get on the same page with them, and it just turned out to them responding in such an inappropriate way, I realized that my time and energy wasn't worth that. And really calculating the time on a financial level, it wasn't worth it, to just walk away and say, okay, you can have the money and I just don't want to deal with you anymore. And it was really confirming, because when I did, the response wasn't what I would consider a healthy or a professional and respectable response. So it was really confirming to say, wow, I was overthinking this and I was spending a lot of extra time trying to overthink for a certain outcome and result. And really my focus and turning back towards that focus of what's going to create the most ease and balance in my business and my personal life was just walking away and letting the money go. And so I really felt like, whoa, like this is awesome for the first time. Like, I didn't overthink this, and I just felt good about my decision. And I'll say that the little overthinking creeps up because I want to be like, like, why did that happen? But really having a focus on that goal, and step 2, knowing why I wanted that focus, kept me really solid in that standpoint. And why I wanted that focus was because I have learned that spending time on trying to fix what another person has decided to be or to think of you, whether right or wrong, when a person has decided that they are right, you are wrong, they're the victim or whatever, no matter how kind or how honest or how clear or how you want to fix it with them, when that person decides not to want to engage with a productive or a standpoint or a solution, then all of a sudden I have to say, I can't take more time and energy from myself and my peace, because that trickles over into my family and into my kids. And that's a big no-no. If somebody or something is going to add so much negativity and toxicity in my life that it starts to trickle over into my family, my personal life, the way that I treat people in my business because I'm having a bad day because of this a-hole, it's just not going to happen. So having a solid why like that, and nothing motivates me more than my family or the people that I care about, having a solid why like that allows you to really stay focused on those goals. And number 3 comes down to, does this add value, yes or no, and weighing out those values. So in the instance of this example, weighing out like financially in terms of time and money, like taking the time and trying to find balance and peace with the person who was uncooperative was taking way more time than the money that was even invested. And so walking away was the most peaceful thing to do, and just not even overthinking that fact. Like, this person and this situation does not deserve this amount of time and energy from me, so it's just done. So those are the 3 kind of steps, super easy. Focus on your goal, know why you have that goal, and then choose what adds value to that goal and that focus. And if it doesn't, just walk away. Don't even shed any more energy or light into that. And some tips, because we're human, and for sure you have to have those moments where you feel like, wait, okay, let me assess my thoughts, let me assess my feelings. Am I the one that's being an a-hole, or is this really just a misunderstanding? And sometimes you have to walk into those waters. Like for me, I was trying to have a conversation, and it was certain responses or interactions, like I said, that was very disrespectful, and that was just confirming to me that this would just be a further waste of time if I tried to pursue continuing to have this conversation. So, but as a human, you really want to be able to express your feelings sometimes and just feel heard. And so one of the things I love doing is getting my journal out and just doing a nice brain dump. I mean, I do this every morning. I like to start my morning with a brain dump and sort of clear the slate, get all the thoughts out, all the unnecessary thoughts and concerns, all the human emotions and like just egoic thinkings, like I dump it out onto the paper. And for some reason, my ego feels good having a record of it, so I won't forget it. But for some reason, if I don't like barf it all out onto paper, it wants to hold on to those thoughts and sort of just replay the thoughts over and over so I don't forget. So it's kind of like this compromise, with my own human ego that says, okay, well, I don't want to think about it all day, so let's just put it on paper and we can revisit it anytime. And do we revisit it? No. Sometimes we end up burning the paper. But it just feels really good to dump it out. And one of the things that I really love doing when I dump it out is rereading it after I feel like I've expressed everything that I want. I've had it all dumped out and it feels really good. I like to reread it at that moment again. And then you can really see from a clearer perspective sort of the insane thoughts or the just ego-based thoughts, and that's human. Sometimes the ego-based thoughts is like wanting to call the person an a-hole or saying that they're just so dumb and why, like you have these feelings like this was unjust, and there is like infuriation in these pages for sure. But then I love following it up with right-mindedness, and that right-mindedness that I say is like really choosing my own story. You can experience this duality for sure. You have like your animal brain and your upper level brain, your analytical brain, and so it's normal to be like, okay, this is the right thing to do, and this is what I want to do because I want to be a forgiving, loving person. And really, this is what I know to be true. But at the same time, still experience those human feelings of like, that was unfair. This person was mean and I'm angry about it. And like, what the hell? And so to be able to validate that yourself by saying that, like, what the hell on paper, and then come back and say, well, you know what? I understand. I understand why I feel this way. And I understand from whatever perspective that person's at, the way they feel. And to discover your own right-mindedness or your own truth that you want to stick by. Too often, overthinking comes when we get conflicted in between these two states of clarity of inner being and humanity and ego, or just being human. And what the ego wants to tell us. And so we overthink because we go round and round in circles, almost debating ourselves and getting nowhere. And the truth is we feel both. As a human animalistic brain that is focused on survival, yes, of course, I want to like, do something to retaliate against this person to protect myself from them in the future. I mean, it's a very survival instinct versus like my right-mindedness says, forgive the person. Believe in karma, put your faith in karma, know what it is like to be in a position where you're trying to protect yourself and you come out overly defensive. Like, how many times in my life have I come out very defensive and been in the wrong? I mean, that has happened a good handful of times in my life. And really, if we want to count, life is still fair in my favor. So if anybody owes anything, it's me. So, I mean, just having that sort of perspective is super helpful. And lastly, just practicing and anchoring throughout the day. So being able to practice those things on smaller occasions, for example, like somebody who cuts you off on the road, if you can take a moment to be like, okay, what does a forgiving person do? What does a right-minded person do? They let it go, or they say, well, okay, that was rude, or I felt scared by that, and I'm going to validate myself, but at the same time, I don't know if they just found out that somebody's in the hospital and they're rushing there. I don't know if they just spilled coffee in their lap and they accidentally swerved. Like, we don't know these things. And, we're always trying to protect ourselves from this like entitled state. But the truth is, if we just take a moment and exercise our own humanity, then things become pretty clear and we don't really have to overthink anything. Most of the time we overthink when we're fearful, worried, concerned, or confused. And most of the time we are fearful about something that might happen and hasn't happened yet, so we don't need to overthink that. We're worried about something that hasn't happened yet, or something that may have happened, but we're not sure of the outcome. So we don't need to overthink that yet either. We're concerned for somebody or of something, or we're confused. And exercising that humanity, I feel like, really gives more clarity on all those fronts. Like, if my husband is in the hospital and I want to overthink, how long is he going to be there? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? Is he going to stay alive? How much is this medical bill going to cost me? I mean, like, all the things that the fear that creeps up that hit us hard the last time, being human and saying, well, I get why I feel this way. I get why I'm fearful. And oh my gosh, what must he be thinking? And oh my gosh, what must the kids be feeling? Like, it's weird that dad's not home for 4 days. And I mean, my dog felt it. I know my dog was like overly concerned, and like and thinking about it like, the doctor's perspective. And I mean, I don't know, for me, that really helps. It really helps to bring things into perspective and to allow me to stop going in the cycle of overthinking and over-creating the fear, worry, and concern. Validate it, put it on paper so you don't forget and you don't have to ruminate it about in your head, and then focus on your goal. Focus on why you want to maintain that goal, whether it's being a calm and relaxed person, or whether it's, you know, having love and peace and forgiveness, and then ask yourself if the overthinking adds value to that. And it's really that simple. So it does take practice. I say it's really that simple. The steps are simple, but the practice is a lifetime of practice. I'm not sure it's something we will ever master, but hopefully this step-by-step guide helps you. And if you have anything else to add to it, I would love to hear more, being an overthinker myself. Stick in the comments, or if the comments are still disabled, reach out to me on the community tab on the channel page and or social media. And thank you so much for being here. This is a fun topic. This was fun. I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And until next time, be good, be great, be grateful. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.